After going an entire season without receiving an item overhaul, Riot has blessed us with a ton of new items for Season 16, so we're super excited to break them all down for you in today's video. There are 9 brand new items, 2 old items that are making a comeback, and then there will also be a bunch of tweaks to current items, so we'll cover everything you need to know that pertains to items for Season 16 and theorycraft which champs could be best with each new item. And with Season 15 coming to a close, if you want to rank up the fastest, there's no better place to be than SkillCapped. First, start with any of our fundamental courses like macro, wave control, and trading to boost your general game knowledge. Then dive into our brand new Season 15 courses from Coach Rogue and Coach Chippy, along with our newly updated jungle clear courses that covers the fastest clear for all the meta junglers in the game. And it doesn't stop there, as every single week we upload 10 brand new full game commentaries where our challenger experts teach you how to climb out of the exact rank you're stuck in. We're so confident in the quality of content we have to offer at SkillCapped that we don't hide away from anything and offer you a 5-division rank up guarantee. Climb at least 5 divisions while actively using SkillCapped or get your money back, no questions asked. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below and get your rank climb accelerated today. If you're an OG League player, or at least someone who had played before Season 10, then this item will be quite familiar, as Riot's bringing back Hextech Gunblade for Season 16. Katarina and Akali mains are absolutely frothing at the mouth right now, as they loved the old Gunblade and will very likely be loving this one too. Just as a disclaimer, when we cover the stats on the items, be aware that things are very likely to change a bit before the season starts. Riot probably ends up tweaking the numbers on the items, so what we show you in this video may not be exactly how the items are shipped to live servers. Nevertheless, this is what Gunblade is looking like right now, as it costs 3,000 gold and has 80 AP, 40 AD, and 10% lifesteal. The passive will provide you with 10% spell vamp, and then the active will be called Lightning Bolt and should be the same old point-and-click projectile that you use to slow enemy and deal damage. Right now, this active has a 60-second cooldown and slows for 25% for 1.5 seconds. The only thing we're not aware of is how well the active damage scales with AP. So as noted, Katarina and Akali are the frontrunners to find the most success with Gunblade, since their abilities scale off both AD and AP, so they love the mixed damage profile that Gunblade provides. A few other champs who may have some viability with Gunblade include Twisted Fate, Sylas, Diana, and Ahri, though we're much less confident of that. And then one more old item is making a comeback for this season, as Stormrazor is back in action. At a price point of 3,200 gold, you're going to get 50 AD, 20% attack speed, and 25% crit. The passive is going to provide you with an energized attack that stacks up whenever you move or attack. The energized attack will deal 100 bonus magic damage and grant 45% movement speed for 1.5 seconds. So it looks like a Stormrazor rush could be back on the menu for a wide range of ADCs. Jhin and Caitlyn will be the most likely to benefit from Stormrazor coming back, and then depending on the strength of the item, it could be taken on Tristana, Jinx, Xayah, Phelios, Zeri, and Kai'Sa as well. So moving on to all the brand new items now. Dusk and Dawn is an AP item being added, and here's what the stats are looking like. For a cost of 3,100 gold, you'll get 300 health, 70 AP, 20 ability haste, and 25% attack speed. The passive will be Spellblade, so similar to what you get on Trinity Force and Lichbane. So Dusk and Dawn looks like it will be a more niche pickup, but one champ in specific who we feel would have the most potential is Echo. Echo is a champ who has liked Rocket Belt, Lichbane, and Nashor's, so Dusk and Dawn is in a way a mix of all three. Gwen, Diana, Teemo, Mordekaiser, and Azir are a few more champs who we feel would have the most potential with Dusk and Dawn. Actualizer is going to be the second new AP item. It will cost 3,100 gold and offer up 90 AP, 300 mana, and 10 ability haste. The active is where the value is though, as on pop for 8 seconds, your spells will cost 100% more mana, but you gain increased ability damage, increased shielding and healing, and your basic ability cooldowns refresh 30% faster. So Ryze is going to be the first champ who comes to mind who should have viability with Actualizer. Because you drain so much mana from using the active, it's probably only going to be an item you can run if you are an Archangel's user, so Cassiopeia, Anivia, Kassadin, and Talia are a few more who may like Actualizer. For a few new ADC items, the first one is called Hexoptics C44, coming in at 2,800 gold. It's going to provide you with 50 AD, 25% crit, while it's going to have 2 passives. The first passive is called Magnification, and it allows you to deal up to 10% increased damage with attacks based on how far away the enemy is. The second passive is Arcane Aim, and when a champion dies within 3 seconds of you damaging them, you will gain 100 additional attack range for 6 seconds. So Hexoptics looks like it will be a more niche item on rangy ADCs. It doesn't really feel like it will be a core purchase, but for someone like Caitlyn, Jinx, or Twitch as a later game pickup, it could be interesting. It just feels like the value that you receive from each passive won't be super consistent, while the raw stats are pretty underwhelming, so we'll have to see how this one lands, as it's not like anything we've seen before. Fiendhunter Bolts is going to be the second new ADC item. It will cost 2,650 gold, and you're going to receive 40% attack speed, 25% crit, and 4% movement speed. The first passive is called Night Vigil, and you'll receive 30 ability haste for your R cooldown. The second passive is called Opening Barrage, and after casting your ultimate, movement, your next 3 basic attacks gain 50% attack speed and critically strike for 75% of your normal crit strike damage for 8 seconds. If an attack would already critically strike, then instead it will deal 10% bonus true damage. So there's honestly a lot of ADCs who could look to run this item, as Varus, Yunara, Zeri, Sivir, Twitch, Ashe, and Vayne would be most likely to find the best success. The all-in power just seems really strong because of the opening barrage passive. One thing we gotta keep in mind though is that you aren't getting any AD from stats, so even though rushing this would be really cool, it's likely a second item purchase. Eternal Hunger is going to be a new AD bruiser or assassin purchase, as it will offer up 60 AD, 5% Omnivamp, and 20% tenacity. Cost of the item will be 3,000 gold. The first passive is called Famine, and it's going to provide ability haste that scales off your AD. So the more AD you have, the more haste you'll get from the passive. The second passive is called Satiation, and when a champion dies, within 3 seconds of you damaging them, you will gain 15% Omnivamp for 8 seconds. So this just seems like an Aatrox item, as the Omnivamp and haste are stats that the champ really likes. Riven, Mbessa, Kayn, and Briar are a few others that you'd probably want to try Eternal Hunger on. We've got a new lethality item on the way, as it's going to be called Bastion Breaker. At a cost of 3,200 gold, you're going to receive 55 AD, 22 lethality, and 15 ability haste. The first passive is called Shaped Charge, and when you deal ability damage to a champion or epic monster, you'll deal true damage that scales off lethality. Sabotage is the second passive, and when scoring a takedown on an enemy within 3 seconds of damaging them, your next attack against an epic monster or turret will deal a mass amount of true damage that scales with your lethality. So to be clear, it's only epic monsters and turrets that you can use this sabotage bonus damage on. With this in mind, Bastion Breaker could open up more strategy for assassin junglers in the mid game if their team is really far behind. If you don't feel like you're going to be able to contest objectives, then you could just go for Bastion Breaker and look for cross-map plays where you try to trade towers for monsters. A few new support items are being added, and the first one is called Diadem of Songs, coming in at 2250 gold. Diadem of Songs will be a tier item, and once you get your tier fully stacked, the item will upgrade to provide 1000 mana. You will also get 200 health, 8% heal and shield power, and 100% base mana regen. Harmony is the first passive where you gain heal and shield power based on your mana, and then Consonance is the second passive where if you have shielded or healed an ally within the last 3 seconds and they are in combat, you will heal the lowest nearby ally for 1% of your max mana. So Diadem of Songs just screams Sona. Seraphine is another, as both Sona and Seraphine have liked running Archangels in the past, and now they'll have a much cheaper option to choose from. Bandlepipes is going to be a new tank support item, as it's going to provide 200 health, 15 ability haste, 20 armor, and 20 magic resist for a cost of 2,000 gold. The passive is called Fanfare, and it works so that slowing or immobilizing an enemy champion grants an aura buff for 8 seconds. The aura buff will provide 20 movement speed, and nearby allies will receive 30% attack speed. So you are the only one who receives the movement speed, but you and your ally get the attack speed. So you can almost think of Bandlepipes as the ardent sensor for tanks. More offensive output as opposed to Locket or Redemption, so if you get ahead early on and really want to press a lead, going for Bandlepipes on melee supports should be a great play. Braum in specific should really like this item because attack speed is great value on him due to it allowing you to proc your passive faster. There's one new tank item being introduced for Season 16, and it's called Protoplasm Harness, coming in at 2,500 gold. You will get 600 health and 15 ability haste as the raw stats that the item provides. Lifeline is the name of the passive, and it works so that when taking damage that would reduce your health below 30%, you will gain 200 max health for 5 seconds and then heal over the duration. This heal will scale off your armor and magic resist. While regenerating health over that 5 seconds, you will gain 15% increased size, 10% movement speed, and 25% tenacity. So the most important thing to take away from this item is that it's only 2,500 gold. This means there could be a world where melee supports who want to dive in aggressively will want to take it, so Leona, Amumu, Rel, and Alistair are a few champs who fit that mold. Mundo probably comes to mind for many, but one thing we do have to consider is that the passive heal does scale off your armor and magic resist. Mundo doesn't build as much armor or magic resist as other tanks, so he won't be gaining as much value from the heal. Tahm Kench, Ornn, and Sejuani are a few tanks who like health items, so Protoplasm could have some potential on them. Echoes of Helia is going to receive a rework to its passive for Season 16, as the damage from the passive is being removed. Instead, you will now gain a more significant heal from the Soul Siphon passive. So it's interesting because melee supports are gaining more offensive potential with Bandlepipes, while enchanters will be losing damage but gaining durability. Melio and Sona have been the only two supports running Echoes of Helia at a high rate this past season, so with the heal being more significant now, it will be interesting to see if it makes its way onto a wider variety of enchanters. A bunch of current items are going to be adjusted for Season 16, and first up is Essence Reaver. Essence Reaver is going to receive a rework as Sheen will now be back on the item. This is basically like a whole new item being added back into the game, and Ezreal's stocks should be on the rise. Smolder should still like Essence Reaver, as he can take advantage of the Sheen proc really well. Lucian also shouldn't mind the change because his upfront burst potential just gets better. Xayah and Sivir may end up losing out a bit due to Essence Reaver changes, changes because they can't abuse Sheen as hard as Ezreal, Smolder, and Lucian. You will now be able to buy multiple tier items again. However, you cannot stack 2 tiers at once. You will have to stack them separately. Umbral Glaive is going to receive a small rework with the cost going up. However, AD, lethality, and haste are all being increased as well. There's also a new passive where if you are unseen by enemies for 1 second, your next attack will deal true damage that scales with lethality. Horizon Focus is being reverted to its previous version, so this means the bonus damage amp for hitting enemies at range is back on. Unending Despair is back to being an armor-only tank item, as you won't receive any magic resist. However, you will gain more haste than the old version. Sundered Sky is going to have its AD increased by 5, and its passive damage is going to crit for 80% of your normal crit strike damage instead of critting for 175% damage. Zeke's Convergence is now going to provide you with ability haste for your R cooldown. There will be a new version of Giant Slayer on Lord Dominik's. Percent Pen will be nerfed on both Lord Doms and Mortal Reminder, while Mortal Reminder is getting cheaper. Alright guys, one last thing. Our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference. So there you have it everyone. That is everything we know so far in regards to the item changes that will be coming for Season 16. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.